Hold your fire! I'm a human!
Hey guys, so I wanted to do a bit of a different take here on a review, considering we already reviewed Breath of Fire, the vanilla version, years back, and for the most part I stand by my comments in the review, although perhaps I was a little harsh with the score. I wanted to give my quick take on the Breath of Fire Definitive Edition ROM hack. First, let's give credit to where it's due. I obtained the ROM hack from romhacking.net and it was hacked by the great Ben, who was gracious enough to join us for a few of my streams, and it was also worked on by Flamepurge, Landmine36, and Justin3009. To quote directly, this hack aims to fix the outdated feel of the first Breath of Fire and bring it up to the standards and conventions of the next 3 games. It features the War of the Goddess rewrite, along with numerous other gameplay, balance, and quality of life changes. So the only issue here is a me thing. I haven't actually played Breath of Fire 2, 3, or 4 extensively enough to really soak it all in and quote-unquote get it. So I actually had a bit of a tough time trying to learn the new names of things throughout due to the War of the Goddess rewrite and other text changes. However, as with most games that are fresh, the further I went along, the easier it was to remember. So anyways, let's dive right in with my pros, middling points, and cons about the hack. The pros. Breath of Fire Definitive Edition features a much better script. The characters have better personality. Things are more mature in tone. There's some pretty funny spots, I'm looking at you, Gobi. And the in-game explanations of things, as far as where to go, what to do, etc., are handled way better than the vanilla version. The difficulty's been increased. This is fairly evident to me, especially early on, and it was a welcome change. I think we can all agree that the vanilla version of Breath of Fire is a fairly standard and easy RPG. Minimal grinding is necessary, and I actually found that to be the case here as well, despite the fact of it being clearly harder. Though, despite the changes, I will admit that I fell into my old ways, spamming slams, the artist formerly known as Marble 1, various Karn transformations, dragon transformations for Ryu, and so forth. Next, one of my favorite features of most upgrade hacks or translations, the dash button. You walk dreadfully slow in the base game. So although this is done in quite a few RPG hacks, this was still a much welcomed, and to be honest, probably much needed help to zip through just a little bit quicker. As far as the rest of the pros, ones that I felt were good but not groundbreaking, at least for me, are as follows. Useless spells were removed, such as Nina's Zombie 1 and Zombie 2, which honestly I'm fine with because I probably never really used any of the removed spells in the base game anyway, so I don't really remember them. All in all, it just kinda helps tidy things up a bit. The flea market shenanigans with Gobi have been ironed out, and it made ultimate equipment easier to obtain. Sorry, I don't really have any footage of this, I did all that stuff off stream, but take my word for it. The middling points. As the title would suggest, these are things that I thought that were just okay. Not great, not bad, just alright. Sometimes even bordering on annoying. The leveling. The README states the following. New experience table allows nice consistent leveling throughout the whole game. Stat gains have been spread out significantly to compensate. Well, I found my leveling to be all over the map. I remember doing some off-stream grinding, and Deus, aka Blue in particular, went up 6 levels after one Gold King fight. It's kinda weird. I know that they do yield lots of experience, and apparently even more than that of the base game, but that was just a perfect example of the crazy leveling that I would receive. I found oftentimes the leveling to be incredibly inconsistent and stat progression, but we'll get into that more later. Lastly, I would consider this middling as well. Ryu's ultimate dragon transformation, Infinity, took a little bit of extra grinding to even get to the increased AP threshold. It was mildly annoying, but not quite bad enough to be a con, so I'm just gonna stick it here. Lastly, the cons. My biggest gripe is the inconsistency in the translation, specifically the naming of the characters. The most egregious error is having Karn introduced as Donk, then literally he is known as Karn for basically the rest of the entire game. It's very confusing. This also happened a few times where certain characters have their new translation name in the dialogue, and then the menu would display otherwise later on. There was also an instance of the mayor of Arad welcoming everybody to Prima, despite Prima being the underwater area. These are just minor grievances of course, but myself and the chat picked up on a bunch during my playthrough, so it's a con. Inconsistent stat gains and AP threshold lockouts. As mentioned earlier, the leveling was inconsistent to me, as were the stat gains. It took a bit for Ryu to get enough AP for the final dragon transformation, and I ultimately never transformed into Puka because the AP cost was too damn high. I ended up finally getting enough AP right before the final dungeon, to which at that point, I didn't even care anymore. I didn't seek out the Puka side quests and so on. Ben, the creator of the hack, told me during one of my streams that I was getting just bad luck with my AP stat gains, but at the end of the day I was getting bad luck and it annoyed me, so to me, it's a con. Other than that though, I don't really have much bad to say about this hack. So what's the final verdict? Should you play this or not? Yes, you should play Breath of Fire Definitive Edition. However, this will likely be a disclaimer in almost any type of review of this nature. I do recommend playing the vanilla version of the game, to which I think you'll enjoy this hack even more after the fact. Kudos to Ben and everybody else, thank you for the hack. I'll link everything in the pinned comment and description below if you want to check it out yourself, and if you want to check out my playthrough, I will also link that as well as on the end screen here. Take care and see you guys in the next review.